The repetition experiment. I'm testing a photography hypothesis. If I repeat the same photo walk, I'll notice details and capture photos I'd miss otherwise. So to test this, I went on 3 walks on the same routes over 3 days. As I worked through the experiments, I also discovered something unexpected, something that changed how I think about revisiting familiar places. We'll talk about that later in the video. For now, let's start with day 1. This section is more of a montage, so I won't get into each photograph in detail, but we will have a general review section after each day. By the way, I got this route from the City of Melbourne's website, highlighting the famous laneways and arcades in Melbourne. I'll leave a link below in the description if you want to check it out. So far, I photographed a lot of the wall. There are a lot of interesting street arts and just posters around Melbourne. Since this was the 1st of January and none of the arcades were actually open, I could only take reflection shots from outside. This was the other side of the block arcade that was closed. So technically, when it's not closed, I couldn't possibly get this photo, which is neat. I like the street art. It looks a bit silly. Just someone having a headache or something. Alright, let's review day 1. Since this was the first day, there's nothing to compare yet. So this was all about first impressions. I ended up taking 360 photos, and that's my baseline for these experiments. Now this number only reflects my personal process. It doesn't mean much when compared to someone else's, but tracking how it changes across the 3 days for me might reveal something interesting. So let's keep that in mind. 360 photos. As for the photos themselves, day 1 was all about reacting to the space and capturing what immediately stood out to me, such as big, bold subjects like street arts and just people moving through the laneways. These are the obvious eye-catching moments that naturally draw attention on the first pass. At the same time, I was experimenting with compositions and trying to capture the unique perspectives these lanes offer, the narrow walls, the angles, and the layers of the city. Looking back, these photos feel like a great starting point, but I can't help but wonder, what did I miss? And what more could I discover by walking the same route again? Well, that wraps up day 1. Let's see how things changed on day 2. You can see that we're going to 12 places now instead of 10, and this is because the arcades are actually open now. I didn't immediately see the skateboarders, only heard them, so I just turned around and took some quick snaps. Alright, this is one of the arcades that are open. It is not actually in the list, but it's part of the center place. And here's the Cathedral Arcade that was closed the first day. his postal lane, which was also closed on day 1. Alright, let's review day 2. I got 282 photos this day, a bit less than day 1. I feel like I subconsciously avoided taking the same photos as day 1, so that meant I was restricting myself instead of just capturing whatever my gut feeling tells me. The results? There are very few repeated photos from day 1. So the question is, are these shots things I simply missed on day 1? Or is there more to it? To answer that, I categorized the photos into 2 buckets, missed shots and new shots. Missed shots are those that were always there, but I didn't notice the first time. Things that I walked past by or chose to prioritize other subjects instead. New shots, on the other hand, capture moments that didn't exist on day 1. For example, I couldn't have taken photos of the skateboarders because, well, they weren't there. And with the arcades now open, I had access to new scenes and details that weren't available before. So, what does this tell us? Day 2 supports our hypothesis that repetition helps uncover missed shots, but it also highlights something unexpected. Repetition doesn't just reveal what we missed, it also opens the door to discovering what's new and dynamic. That's a fascinating twist that I didn't anticipate. Alright, that's day 2. Let's see what day 3 has in store. Here's a repeated scene from day 1. I thought it looked different enough with the tables and the chairs, but maybe not. Alright, let's review day 3. I got the most photos this day, 395. By this point, I felt like the subconscious restriction from day 2 was completely gone. I wasn't worried about repeating shots anymore, and I think that freedom allowed me to approach the space more thoroughly. Being the last day, I felt more comfortable and confident in the environment, which I think played a big role in how I approached the photos. Now let's do the same categorization as day 2, missed and new. Even after 3 days, I still have some missed ones. After doing these experiments, I imagine I would get even more if I repeated the walk again. On the new side, there were entirely different opportunities as well. Instead of just people, introducing variants, like the skateboarders in day 2. On day 3, I captured these vehicles, which completely changed the dynamic of the space. They were obstructing this laneway in a way and created this narrow path that people need to use to walk past. And so I waited there a bit and tried to take photos with this scene. A further extension to this is the weather and sunlight. This photo in particular made me laugh because it was only possible thanks to the way the sun hit this spot at just the right time. It's actually a spot that I photographed on all 3 days. I like the art, but couldn't find a photo that I'm satisfied with until this last one, thanks to repetition. It also highlights the extra piece of insights from this experiment. Let's talk about that now. At the start of these experiments, my hypothesis was that repeating a photo walk would help me capture shots I'd otherwise miss, and that was absolutely true. But the experiments also revealed something more. Even when you think you've seen everything, the world around you is constantly changing. Take the new shots for instance. Every day, the individuals I passed, the state of the objects, the weather, and the lights created entirely different opportunities. Repetition didn't just help me notice what I'd missed, it showed me the beauty of variance in familiar places. Even if I walk the same route every day and feel like I've seen it all, there's always something new to uncover. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.